One of the most interesting things that I've noticed about today's economy is that in the current political climate and in the current economic climate, I don't really see women lower their standards. I don't see a movement of women talking about having more realistic or more balanced dating standards, particularly when it comes to financial expectations. Quite frankly, I see women doubling down. I see a lot of ladies going and saying that now it is essential that a man has a particular monetary value, that it's essential that a man has makes a particular amount of money. Like, I see a lot of ladies who are literally doubling down and being even more strict with their dating standards instead of loosening it, adjusting it, or being willing to share some of the responsibilities associated with trying to just maintain financially in this economy. With that said, though, there are still ladies out there who have the willingness or who are open to the idea of dating a man who makes less money if the man looks the part. The only time I see women who are willing to loosen their dating standards is if the man looks the part. And honestly, it has always been that. And I ran across this video of a woman who went on to talk about how the person that she is dating makes significantly less than her and what that could mean for the relationship. And so we're going to review that in this upcoming video, and then I'm going to break down a few key points.
Men I've ever seen in my entire life. So I recently matched with one of the most handsome men I've ever seen in my entire life. Easily one of the most handsome men I've ever seen in my entire life. Only qualm I have is based on his career. I estimate that he probably makes anywhere from $65,000 to $70,000 a year. I make 4 to 5 times more than that. Do y'all think that relationships with that large of a pay gap can survive? Is that shallow for me to ask? Like, these are just the things that really are on my mind as I'm dating. And I specifically mean when it's the woman making significantly more, because I feel like it is normalized for the man to make more. But in terms of how I grew up, my mom made significantly more than my dad, and that does not come without issues. Okay. So I recently matched with one of the most handsome men I've ever.
Okay, so a lot to unpack there. She said she makes 3 to 4 times more than this guy that she is incredibly attracted to. Now, before I break down my perspective, let's look at some of the initial comments. This one right here, it says, men will resent you if they learn that you make more than them. They'll punish you for their shortcomings. If you are willing to keep it a secret, then you can probably look past it and be happy. This one has 14 replies, 48 likes. Now, another one right here says, as Andre 3000 said, don't do it, reconsider. This one says, you are leaving out if you guys actually spoke, followed by it if he was interested, LMHL. So that looks like it might be actually a man. This one says, you do know that about the average salary here in America. That being said, you never mentioned the quality of that man. Is he God-fearing? Is he a family man? Was he raised right, etc.? At this point, it's really just whatever social constructs you've told yourself that were true that would affect the relationship. If you make roughly 300,000, how good of a partner should matter more? Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of different feedback already. I just wanted to look through some of the initial comments, but here's a couple of things. So the first comment, the thing that I found interesting about the first comment, immediately the fear mongering, immediately the expectation that if the woman makes more than the man, then the man is going to be insecure and that they are going to punish that woman. The challenge or the issue that I have with that assumption is I don't think that is always true. In fact, I don't really believe that men are as intimidated by money or intimidated by a woman's accomplishments as much as women think they are. A lot of guys out there, I really don't think care. Yeah, there is going to be a percentage of deeply, deeply insecure men who feel like they need to compete with women. That probably happens in certain capacities. But most men out there are not threatened by a woman's degree or her pocketbook, because that doesn't really turn them on. It doesn't register and their level of attractiveness. The only time a woman having more money or a woman having more degrees becomes an issue with the man, as if that becomes a reason for her to disrespect him. if she thinks in her mind that she is better than him, or she believes that she is settling for him, or she believes in any way that makes her greater or more of a valuable asset, and she uses her money or her degrees as a way to undercut his manhood, undercut his value, undercut just who he is as a leader in the relationship, that is when it becomes an issue. Because at the end of the day, even if a man is making less, there are still a lot of men out there who they still want to feel valued as a man. They still want their masculinity to be affirmed, and they don't want to feel like their pocketbook or their salary is impacted by that. So I really don't think in my capacity, I really don't think the burden lays as much on the man as much as it does what does the woman feel about it? Is she comfortable and secure enough in her femininity and quite frankly in the masculinity of that man to where she can fully respect him even if he makes significantly less money? And I think those are really more important conversations. Not so much, okay, is he going to beat me because I bring a few, $1,000 more? Is he going to try to hold over me? No, that I don't really think that's how men think. I think if a man is tempted to do so, it's because he really feels disrespected or he really feels like this woman doesn't value him. And again, that's a toxic dynamic to begin with. You don't want to do that. But I think it has less to do with money, but it has more to do with the value that a lot of ladies ascribe to money and ascribe to dollars. And I think that is what is really being missed in these conversations. I know of scenarios, now I haven't been in that scenario, but I know of scenarios where there are people I know who grew up and the mom was a major breadwinner. And I know scenarios today where the mom is a major breadwinner. And what I saw being the determining factor as far as the happiness or the success of that marriage of those families had everything to do with the couple. It had everything to do with how the woman perceived it and how the man perceived it, how the husband and wife perceived it. I know of some women who feel like they can succeed well because the husband is a great husband. He's a great support, whether it be he's a great spiritual leader or he's a great leader of the home. He's a stabilizing force. He's a safe place for her to land and be able to thrive. I've seen experiences like that. I've also seen experiences where a woman may feels like she has to carry the load because the man isn't stepping up. And so it really goes down to the individual couple. But I think we have to expand this conversation beyond whether or not him making more money means that he's less of a man or whatever. But women asking themselves, well, how do you value masculinity? And do you have the capacity to fully respect and honor and love a man, even if he makes less money for you? And if the answer is no, then I think you already understand that it's likely not worth the relationship getting involved with. And by the way, I just wanted to be clear, God doesn't say anything about that. Because a lot of ladies still go out and say that they want a man of God and they have all these expectations. But nowhere in the Bible do I see that a man has to make more money. If anything, we see plenty of examples of women working alongside their husband to help provide, build businesses or whatever. But I'm just saying that because, like I said, a lot of the things that people use today as mandatory requirements are not necessarily connected to scripture whatsoever. It's just a person's personal desire. Anyways, y'all, that is what I think. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree with my perspective? I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. Also, be sure to check me out on Patreon, or you can become a channel member. Let me know down in the comment section. Thank you so much for listening if you've gotten this far, and we will talk later, okay? Bye.